Gooner TV, Gooner Sulz. Good win for Arsenal even in the end, 3-1. What do you make of the game, mate?
Absolutely dominated it. A dodgy start, like always. If this was Arsenal even of 2 weeks ago, we might have lost that game. We might have let Leicester put one in the first 5 minutes and then just sat back and just absolutely, lost our heads. But you know what? We had Willian, we had Pepe who stepped up today. They were absolutely phenomenal today. And you know what? Willian deserves a lot of credit because even in the Europa League, he did fantastic. And today he carried that form over into the league. He absolutely, he was one of the reasons why we won that game. He was positive. He was direct. His passing was brilliant. Then you got Nicolas Pepe, man. How much can we praise this guy? This season, it seems like he's finding his own. He's finding his feet, and Arteta's getting him playing. And that's why I do believe, man, we need time because today was a performance that we can be proud of as Arsenal fans.
Yeah, so you think Arteta needs more time and he should continue into next season?
Absolutely, because I think he's getting. How many times as Arsenal fans do we say it's tactically been wrong, or has it been individual errors? And a lot more times than not, is individual errors. Once we can cut them out, that's when we can start to see the game plan Arteta has. Unfortunately, too many times we've been in. We've lost the lead, or we've been out of the game at the beginning. At City, we lost the lead in 2 minutes. Aston Villa in the first sort of 5 opening minutes, we went down. Against Leicester today as well. Again, it took us 5 minutes for them to score. Once we can cut this out, that's when we can get it. And for him to be able to do that, he needs some serious backing and he needs some serious players because we're not far off from a competing team because we're starting to see a starting 11 develop and we're starting to see even the fringe players starting to perform. And that's what we've seen today because who gave us hope? I said on my Twitter, I must be a fool because I think this lineup is fine and I think they can get the job done. And a lot of people disagreed. So you can see that, Arteta's starting to get things right and he needs time. He needs the players and he needs the backing.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. He does need a bit more time, maybe. Still not really sure, maybe about next season, but we'll see how this season goes. In terms of some of them, what sort of players would you like him to bring in to really sort of make us compete again?
I mean, obviously, there's some obvious ones. I mean, you've got Edouard at Celtic, you've got Basuma, you've got Anguissa, you've got, we need someone to partner, Partey if he can stay fit, or even someone to, partner Xhaka if he can stay fit. We just need someone who's got the quality above what we have now because the midfield battle is where we're seemingly weak. And then we need a right back. I don't think Bellerin or Cedric cut the cloth because even today, Cedric wasn't the sharp Cedric we've seen. So sometimes, like a Max Aarons or a Lamptey even, and there's many other names that we can give. You've got Sergio Dest at Barcelona. You could try and go and get him as well. Potentially even a centre-back. But what we most importantly need is a captain. I think we need someone to come in that can be a leader on the pitch. Kieran Tierney is there, but I feel like we need someone with a bit more vocal and communication skills who can drive those players, from a tactical standpoint, someone that can be kind of a player manager, someone that can get Arteta's instructions and take them on the pitch and get players to play the way they need to play.
Yeah, okay, mate. So what sort of play and what sort of position are you looking at? Are you looking at maybe a centre midfielder to partner Partey in that sort of area?
I think what we need is
Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, sorry. What I was going to say is that we need a dominant, CDM, someone that's a proper defensive midfielder, because Partey isn't a defensive midfielder of the classic sense. We need someone like a Wilfred Ndidi, for example, someone who can really hold their own. Because what that'll allow us to do is turn into a 4-3-3 and let Ndidi do the dog work. Let him be that defensive-minded player, and then what we can have is Partey as a box-to-box, and we can start playing a number 8. That's when we can start playing this expansive football that we've been screaming out for. We can start playing the likes of Odegaard and Smith Rowe together because you've got a Partey or an Ndidi who can break that defense, do all that dogged work in front of the defense, and that's what we really need. We need a solid CDM. We need a right back because Bellerin looks like he's out of the door. Arteta's basically and Bellerin's come out that he's saying we've already promised that this is going to be they're going to give him this season and then we'll look to move him on. It's the reports I've seen coming. So it's looking like we need a right back, definitely. We need a midfielder, and it's looking like now we potentially even need to look into getting a proper striker, someone who's got bags of goals in him, because Aubameyang's are drying up. Lacazette isn't a proper goal-scoring midfielder, goal-scoring striker. Sorry, he's more of a playmaking, holding up kind of player, like a Giroud, for example. But he just needs to get those goals in him.
Yeah, I think Edouard of Celtic's been well documented. I mean, I know it's only people say it's a Farmers League, but he's been actually banging in goals for fun. Is he someone you maybe look to get?
100%. I mean, Taney came from the Farmers League, as people are saying, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. Just because, Scotland doesn't have the reputation of other teams in other leagues in Europe doesn't mean we look down upon it, because so many times, right, we've turned our noses up on signings because of where they're coming from rather than the signing itself. Grealish we could have gotten for 30-40 million, but because he was a championship player, why do we want him? Buendia is another one. Max Aarons is another one. The fan base needs to stop being spoiled. It needs to stop thinking that big names make big teams. That's not the case. If we want to build for the future, we need to change the way we recruit. And getting players like an Edouard, who may not be, the big name, for example, coming from a big team like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or a Bayern Munich, just because those teams aren't interested, doesn't mean the player isn't good. It just means that they need something else, or they may not be looking for a striker. So we need to stop turning our noses up on players who have got the reputation to score goals and seem like absolutely decent players.
Yeah, no, completely agree, mate. I mean, we've made this comparison with Liverpool in the past, which Wijnaldum, Henderson, Robertson, they've all come from places like that. I mean, Van Dijk even was originally from Celtic via Southampton. So I completely agree with you, mate. Moving along, we've got some big games coming up. Burnley, then we've got, Spurs in the middle of Olympiacos, both legs.
Yeah.
So there's no resting players there then. How do you feel about them games coming up, mate?
I mean, thankfully, we don't. I mean, I don't know how thankful we can be, because obviously we're playing Burnley, but we've got a week's rest. So hopefully that gives players a time to recover, because obviously even the likes of Saka now are looking a little bit jaded and tired. I mean, he hasn't lost his sharpness. That's not where I'm coming from, but it's about, you can see that little bit of cutting edge has been out of his game in the last couple of games, and he's still been phenomenal. So imagine once he's rested and recovered. I'm looking forward to it, because I am starting to see signs of Arteta getting things right. We can start seeing this team as fighting. It's got this fighter spirit. It's got the passion. It's got the fire in them. And I feel like that's what we needed. That's what we want to see. A game like Burnley, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a dogged game. And that passion and that fire is always going to come through to help us win a game like that. And then when we look at the Northern Derby, the traditional senses, the form goes out the window. And that's absolutely true, because you have to be up for it. You can't. That's a game where your career can end, even if you've been the absolute hero of the season. If you put in an absolute crapper of a performance in that kind of game, your Arsenal career is good as done, because that's the game that everyone looks forward to. That's the game we bookmark when we look into the season and see who we're playing. Tottenham are the first ones. We look at United and we look at the likes of Chelsea, for example. They're the games we want to look forward to. If the players can't get up for that, you may as well walk out the door, because you've not got a career here.
Yeah, 100%. Well said, mate. Odegaard watch. What do you make of him? Jury's still out, or would you try and snap him up? Arteta looks like, it seems from all the rumours I've heard, that he wants to get a deal done quickly, but Madrid don't want to let him go. What would you do about him?
Why would Real Madrid want to let a player like that go? He is absolutely phenomenal. I've seen the guy at Real Sociedad, because I do watch a lot of La Liga, and he is phenomenal. He's effortless. Today you've seen. Do you know the reason he doesn't stand out is because he does everything right. He does everything so smoothly and effortlessly that he's not going to stand out like your Pepe's or your Aubameyangs, because he's not the glory taker. He's one of those players in the background just pulling the strings. He is a traditional number 10. He's got bags of flair, bags of skill, and he's got this footballing IQ of years beyond him. He's experienced. He's a Norwegian international. He's got bags of experience for the age that he's at. And I'm not surprised Arteta wants him, because he's a phenomenal player. Imagine him and ESR being the two number 10s for Arsenal. That is looking good. That position is sorted if they're the two, because they're both young, hungry, and passionate and experienced players now. And that is what we want. That's all we look for. And I think obviously, you know, it is early days, and it's about not getting carried away too much as well. But I've seen enough from this man, you know, outside of Arsenal as well, to suggest why he's this good. And I'm excited, and I do hope that if we can get a good deal done, because I don't want to spend too much money on him, because if it's like an 80 million, that's our transfer budget gone, because I do feel like we need to get a team together. So if we can get a good deal done for him, I think absolutely snap him up.
Yeah, cool. No, totally agree, mate. For 80 million, I'd rather get Grealish anyway. But lastly, just to finish off with, mate, who's your man of the match today?
I mean, I know there can only be one. I want to give it to 3 players, but I will try and narrow it down. The 3 players that is for me is between Lacazette, Pepe, and who thought this would be coming? Willian. Who would have thought? And you know what? I said Pepe on my videos, and I've said Pepe on Twitter, so I am going to give it to him because he was just direct. He was absolutely positive today, and everything he did just seemed to turn into something. So, yeah, I want to give it to Pepe, but it's so close for Willian as well. I want to give it to both. I wish I could just split the award, but I know you can only have one man of the match, so that's why I'm going to give it to Pepe.
Cool.